Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata berdiri sejak tahun 2000 dengan falsafah pendidikan yang diusung Cipta, Rasa, dan Karsa, di mana melalui dasar to educate the head, the heart, and the hand. The head, di mana diharapkan terwujud keseimbangan antara peningkatan pendidikan profesional dan entrepreneur, sehingga mampu menciptakan lulusan yang memiliki kreativitas dan kapabilitas dalam keilmuannya. The heart memiliki kepekaan dan kesadaran untuk menjadi manusia yang bermanfaat bagi sesama. And the hand mau dan mampu berkarya dan memberikan kontribusi nyata bagi pembangunan di Indonesia. Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata memiliki value yang diadopsi dari nama Runata, reliable atau dapat diandalkan, uniqueness, pribadi yang memiliki karakter unggul, noble, memiliki sifat mulia dan integritas tinggi, ambition, memiliki motivasi dan tekad kuat mencapai tujuan, teamwork, dan agile, kemampuan untuk bisa beradaptasi dengan cepat. Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata berdiri sejak tahun 2000 dengan falsafah pendidikan yang diusung Cipta, Rasa, dan Karsa, di mana melalui dasar to educate the head, the heart, and the hand. The head, di mana diharapkan terwujud keseimbangan antara peningkatan pendidikan profesional dan entrepreneur, sehingga mampu menciptakan lulusan yang memiliki kreativitas dan kapabilitas dalam keilmuannya. The heart memiliki kepekaan dan kesadaran untuk menjadi manusia yang bermanfaat bagi sesama. And the hand mau dan mampu berkarya dan memberikan kontribusi nyata bagi pembangunan di Indonesia. Motivasi dan tekad kuat mencapai tujuan, teamwork, dan agile, kemampuan untuk bisa beradaptasi dengan cepat.
Desa Bagiung memiliki visi menjadi desa yang langgeng, berdaulat, berdikari, dan berbudaya, yang diwujudkan melalui berbagai misi strategis, termasuk penguatan sistem manajemen pemerintahan desa.
Pasar SNI, Pasar Standar Nasional Indonesia 2135 kalau nggak salah.
Mereka pelajari di bangku perkuliahan.
Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata berdiri sejak tahun 2000 dengan falsafah pendidikan yang diusung Cipta, Rasa, dan Karsa, di mana melalui dasar to educate the head, the heart, and the head. The Head, di mana diharapkan terwujud keseimbangan antara peningkatan pendidikan profesional dan entrepreneur, sehingga mampu menciptakan lulusan yang memiliki kreativitas dan kapabilitas dalam keilmuannya. The Heart memiliki kepekaan dan kesadaran untuk menjadi manusia yang bermanfaat bagi sesama, and the hand mau dan mampu berkarya dan memberikan kontribusi nyata bagi pembangunan di Indonesia. Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata memiliki value yang diadopsi dari nama Runata, reliable atau dapat diandalkan, uniqueness, pribadi yang memiliki karakter unggul, noble, memiliki sifat mulia dan integritas tinggi, ambition, memiliki motivasi dan tekad kuat mencapai tujuan, teamwork, dan agile, kemampuan untuk bisa beradaptasi dengan cepat.
Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata tahun 2020.
Desa Bagian memiliki visi menjadi desa yang langgeng, berdaulat, berdikari, dan berbudaya, yang diwujudkan melalui berbagai misi strategis, termasuk penguatan sistem manajemen pemerintahan desa.
Pasar SNI, Pasar Standar Nasional Indonesia 2135 kalau nggak salah.
Mereka pelajari di bangku perkuliahan.
2020.
Desa Bagiung memiliki visi menjadi desa yang langgeng, berdaulat, berdikari, dan berbudaya, yang diwujudkan melalui berbagai misi strategis, termasuk penguatan sistem manajemen pemerintahan desa.
Pasar SNI, Pasar Standar Nasional Indonesia 2135 kalau nggak salah.
Mereka pelajari di bangku perkuliahan.
Okay.
Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Ternata tahun 2020.
Desa Bagiung memiliki visi menjadi desa yang langgeng, berdaulat, berdikari, dan berbudaya yang diwujudkan melalui berbagai misi strategis termasuk penguatan sistem manajemen pemerintahan desa.
Waktu ngisi form itu kamu udah ngisi form?
Pasar SNI, Pasar Standar Nasional Indonesia 2135 kalau nggak salah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Iya.
you.
Well done, well done. Sorry for my mess. Thank you.
It's okay, it's okay. Wait. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished Head of Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata, honorable speakers, respected teacher, student, and all participants. Thank you for joining us today. We are grateful that we can gather online in good health to take part in this international forum organized by Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata with the theme Sustainability, Curricular, and Community Empowerment in Agribusiness. This forum is held to share ideas and experiences on how sustainability, circular economy, and community empowerment can be applied in agribusiness to create long-term value for society. My name is Pratnya Devi, and I will be your Master of Ceremony for the opening session of today's forum. To officially open this forum, it is our pleasure to invite the head of Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Runata, Dr. Lucia Freda Adveni, STMM, to deliver the opening remarks. Dr. Lucia Freda Adveni, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Miss Devi. Good morning and warm greetings to everyone.
Good morning. Good
Yeah,
morning.
morning, distinguished speakers, college students, and all
Morning.
participants. It is a pleasure for me to welcome you to this forum on behalf of Runata Business School. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We truly appreciate your presence and your willingness to share knowledge and experience in this important discussion. Sustainability, circular economy, and community empowerment are no longer just concepts. They are real challenge and real opportunities where environment impact, economic value, and community welfare are deeply connected. What we do in this sector affect not only markets but also people and the planet. We are very honored to have our speaker with us today, Prof. Alex. Where are you, Prof?
I'm here.
Oh yeah, hi.
I'm here.
You're at Gianyar and I'm from Klaten today.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
national
thank you.
today.
Yes, thank you,
We
Prof.
should be wearing
Yeah,
red, maybe.
thank you for bringing your global academic perspective and experience. And also, I want to say to Mr. Andrew, sir, I hope we can meet one day. Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
your sharing your practical and field-based experience. And Bli Guna, where are you, Bli Guna?
Hello.
Oh ya, halo Bli Wiguna, makasih Bli ya. Thank you for representing local insight and community engagement. I would also say thank you to our princess Miss Viola, who will guide today's discussion.
It's there
Um,
somewhere, I guess.
yeah, this forum is meant to be a space to learn, exchange ideas, and reflect
Okay.
together. I hope today's conversation can inspire practical action, small or big, that move us towards more sustainable and inclusive agribusiness practice. At Runata Business School, we believe education should create a real impact. Through this forum, I hope We can connect ideas from academia and practitioner and communities so that sustainability becomes something we actually practice, not just talk about. I encourage all participants and all students to actively engage, ask questions, discussion, and share your perspective. Thank you once again for being part of this forum. I wish you all a meaningful and inspiring discussion. With that, I also will officially open this forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Lucia, for the warm and inspiring opening remarks. That concludes the opening session of this international forum. The next session, including the presentation and the discussion, will be guided by our moderator. Therefore, I would like to hand over the session to our moderator, Miss Farelia Octaviola. Miss Farelia Octaviola, this is your time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, for the MC for the kind introduction. So, good morning, distinguished speakers, respected faculty members, and all participants joining us today. First of all, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to express our appreciation to the head of Sekolah Tinggi Bisnis Renata, Ibu Dr. Lucia Freda Adveni, for her opening remarks and continued support for today's program. My name is Farelia Octaviola, and it is an honor to serve as the moderator for today's webinar on sustainability, circularity, and community empowerment in business. So before that, let me introduce myself. I am actively involved in sustainability and circular economy initiative with a strong interest in how agribusiness can generate environmental value while empowering local communities. My role today is to guide our discussion and connect insight from different perspectives. So this topic that we discussed today is highly relevant in today's global and local market, where agribusiness is no longer measured only by productivity, but also how responsibly we manage resources, create circular systems, and empower communities as key factors in development. And we are very fortunate to have three distinguished speakers who will share their perspective, experiences, and insights from different angles. So without further ado, let us begin our first session. Our first speaker is Mr. Alexander Melbourne, a highly experienced professional in international trade, sustainable ventures, and cross-border business development. He has extensive experience in international trade marketing, management, and the facilitation of joint venture programs, particularly within sustainable and clean tech sectors. And Mr. Melbourne is also an expert in change management with a strong focus on performance management and people development in international service organization. And his expertise includes project management for international partnership, the establishment of joint venture and consortia, as well as business planning and market development. With professional experience across Europe, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and South Pacific, and strong networks with multinational companies, he consistently delivers sustainable and profitable transactional outcomes. And today, he will share insights on achieving sustainable outcomes while meeting performance targets and supporting international growth strategies. So, Mr. Melbourne, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Viola. Maybe if we can get the background presentation up so that I can talk to the pages on there, on the agro-Indo-green activities in Bali today. First of all, perhaps we need to address the changing environment here in Bali. Bali has gone through, since the COVID activity, a significant change in its business environment. There has been a return to development. A lot of new hotels are being built, and there's basically a big push for developers to build more and more accommodation. The problem with all this building and the problem in any resort area is the risk of over tourism and all the side effects that come that are not integrated through sustainable planning. So sustainable planning is the key, particularly to an area like Bali, which is an island with a very, very high risk environment, an environment that has had millions of years to evolve, but is very dependent on natural resources. So the finance industry is not really interested in protecting this environment. It is more interested in quick returns. And unfortunately, in Indonesia, investment quick returns have driven a lot of the hotel development, a lot of the coastal development, particularly in the south of Bali. And basically, they don't take risk management very seriously. They build in areas that are at risk of eroding into the sea. And it's difficult for organizations that do the planning correctly to actually get funding, because it takes a long time and a lot of planning and a lot of resource to get through the sustainable planning process. So we see a lot of shortcuts, which is resulting in a lot of environmental problems today. Only yesterday, when I was in Ubud, there is a large bridge there that's completely collapsed right in the center of Ubud in the main road. Because when the bridge was built, they tried to build it very quickly and they didn't factor in the impact of the changing environment. So that's a classic example of what can happen if you don't plan and you don't do the right structural engineering to avoid crises. The tourism sector here has to be in harmony with natural development. It has to allow for the changing environment, and it needs to be linked with the community. You cannot develop sustainable tourism without closely involving the sustainability and the wealth and the benefit of working within the community. So what are the factors that contribute to this? Well, if we go back to the previous slide, you've got the drivers of change. There's 4 key drivers, 3 of which are in the screen. Government-backed tourism growth. You have a central government tourism push to create numbers, the value, the growing numbers of people, rather than the quality of the people and what they bring as far as economic benefit to the actual destination. So this is a government-backed generation. The people need numbers. Airlines want to travel here and they need more passengers. So a lot of this is done at the detriment of the environment. So these government-backed initiatives are for growth, not necessarily for sustainability. From an island perspective, you've then got tourism and lifestyle migration. We see a lot of the young people from the inland areas, the agricultural and the rural areas, migrating to the southern region, creating an overbuild, creating an overpopulation and over-tourism issues, because that's where the jobs are, that's where the development's taking place. But a large part of that development does not plan and is not supported by infrastructure. So you've got a really imbalance of investment. You've got challenges in environmental management, challenges in waste management, challenges in infrastructure, and even in basic water provision because of this sudden surge of migration into the southern part of the island. So investment has tended to follow where the demand has been identified, and demand is changing. And there is now a very big change in demand, and the investment areas are starting to recognize this. They're starting to realize that it's not about building bigger, larger hotels on the beach. Basically, the big growth has been in the recent few years has been building beach clubs, which aren't even on the beach. So this have to have a hotel on the beach scenario is starting to change. They're going for scenic locations. They're starting to move inland, and they're starting to look for a higher quality of tourism. So tourism demand is changing. And as demand changes, so does the attitude of the investors. We've gone through this early stage of tourism where they build large resort hotels, places like Nusa Dua, with multiple large international hotel chains. Well, those sort of development areas have gone through the early stage of tourism. Tourism goes through a life cycle. It goes through a curve. The early stage of tourism is to build a lot of facilities and a lot of facilities that will cater for mass tourism. And Bali's gone through this phase for the last 30 years. And as the phase changes, so does the demand and so does the future in development. So the investment sector now is looking at new areas, particularly in the areas of water, tourism, education, health and wellness, and sustainable development. So our activities, together with our community partners, are starting to move into the areas of sustainable development. And that is where we see the future, finding new destinations away from the coast, certainly from the southern coast, that can sustain complete harmony with the environment. Finding these sites also brings its challenges, because in these rural areas, because of the overbuild and the overcommitment in the southern area, there is now what we would call a reaction from future building to put extra difficulties in building large facilities in rural locations. And recently there's been major zoning changes that has made strategic planning and master planning absolutely critical to get the planning equation right. This has also posed a lot of challenges for investors, because now there's a lot of questions about investment taking place in regions where there should not be unsustainable development. So the market trends are people that want to experience the real experience of Bali. They want to get away from the masses of people on the beaches. They want to experience agriculture. They want to see villages. They want to be part of sustainable community development. And they appreciate the need and the importance of low carbon operations. So our activity, working with the MHE group and other partners, is working towards circular outcomes. We're planning in a number of locations zero waste operations where nothing is discarded. Every byproduct becomes an input. Soil regeneration, carbon sequestration, using composting or organic enforcement, and farming, eco-farming that naturally rebuilds soil fertility. To do this, we need to work together with local communities. We cannot do it as an investor. We have to work and we have to use the synergy of working together with the local community. And we have to work towards developing a farm park concept, which is a different investment model to building large multi-story, multi-level hotels. We're not in the multi-story building business. We're in the integrated business, working within communities and specifically developing parks that add to the community, create jobs in the community, mean that young people and families don't have to migrate to the coastal areas to sustain themselves, and they can maintain their family experience living and working within the community. So all of this is linked back to community empowerment. Local residents must participate in the farming, sustaining the farming communities here in Bali. That's what people want to visit. They want to go and see paddy fields. They want to see farming communities. They want to live in plantations. They want to visit the highlands, not just live on the coast. So what are the sort of things that are the direction for the future? Well, we're talking of farmhouse concepts. There we function as a model of sustainable food production. We use the local products. We integrate composting. aquaponics and circular waste systems. We integrate supplies using fresh organic fruit juice that we get from our own plantations and working together with plantations in the area. We've identified in Kemetug potential there to develop farm-to-table ecosystems and working together with eco education, not just for the farm community, but for students and for school programs. The schools can come, they can see integrated activities in the circularity of the workshops. They can participate in workshops on seeing how to grow things, how important it is to use organic fertilizers, and get first-hand agro-tourism experiences. A lot of these young people in schools growing up in a compact society on the coast do not understand anymore how actual things grow and why they grow. Linking to that, there must be other sustainable incomes. So we have eco glamping. Here, we will integrate within the plantations luxury tents, bamboo villas, and ocean and mountain views using local sustainable materials, linking in with the plantations, not as high-rise hotels or as buildings that will not blend to the environment, but that will be part of this wellness experience that people are seeking. We need to use renewable energy systems, solar, biogas, biodegeneration, and grey water, micro turbine recycling. All of this ensures minimal environmental footprint. This is a sort of sustainable environment. More and more, we need to provide places that the elderly can retire to and enjoy away from this mass tourism environment. So that elderly residents from overseas can come and have a tourism experience and enjoy wellness and community connection, living within the community, not in isolated enclaves of what we would call villas, which is what's happened on the coastal area. No, integrated with local wellness, healthcare, and social activities to promote active, fulfilling senior lifestyles. Here, our programs plan to be integrated with the communities. And basically, we look at foundation basis starting in 2026, 27, where we're looking at 3 locations in Gianyar, in Tabanan, and in northern coastal area called Pemutaran, which is in the top end of Bali. The second stage of that will be plan development, planning the plantation, starting with growing different types of plantation, mango, avocado, berry fruit programs. But all of these are being integrated so that we can develop farm parks within those plantations. The tendency in Bali is to build more and more of existing development along the coast and design yet more hotels and resorts catering for this short-term market. We believe that the future of tourism should be the longer stay, visitation of 1 to 3 to 6 months, where people can come and actually live as part of a growing community and experience circularity. Students can come, they can live on a farm park, they can work as working students within the plantation and learn firsthand how things are grown. They can see animals on the farm. They can enjoy working within the community and learn from the culture and the way of doing things. Visitors today coming from mature markets like Australia, New Zealand, Europeans, are looking and want to experience more natural and exclusive experiences within the community. We're not seeing the need to develop mass tourism. So what are the future business models? This is a completely different direction. We need to look at existing land parcels that are a mix of privately owned, community managed, and government designated areas suitable for plantation, agricultural development, circularity, and ecotourism purposes. We need to work with the community and develop together internationally a fund, what we call the Green Fund, that will allocate capital to strategically acquire leasehold land and, where possible, invest into the production and development zones of plantations. We look at developing areas of land that are not being optimally used, and we will create over a period of 20 to 30 years partnerships with local landowners and village operations. This dual approach, working with the community, allows flexible expansion and maintaining strong relationships with local communities and, more importantly, the traditional landowners. We're not about acquiring land for profit. We're not about kicking people off their homelands. This green fund and financing acts as the vehicle for land purchase, development, and estate management, but in partnership with the community. All these land assets that will be invested into, whether owned or leased, will be held and managed under a transparent estate management partnership together with the team. And here's the team of some of the people that we're working with here in Bali. And more importantly, the visitors to these locations will also have the opportunity to invest into the Green Fund so that their contribution helps moving forward in the community. The investment into the community stays with the community. So this type of business model, the Green Fund type business model, is to meet the demands of changing markets and enterprises that are struggling to get started. Startup funding is almost impossible to find here in Bali. So we're working towards a master plan, working together with communities to actually bring in communities as joint investors into this program. In this change, we're leading towards working with rural communities. Can you move the slide to the next slide? And then I'll finish on that one. There we go. So next slide is a map of Bali. So you'll see there, location in Gianyar, which is an important area, not too distant from the coast, but sufficiently inland to be rural and to be practical to develop food and beverage products. Kematug up in Tabanan, which is also inland in the highlands. And this is an example of sustainability, circularity, and community empowerment combining. And last but not least is Pemutaran up in the northern region there, which is on the coast, which recently got a top award for most sustainable village. And there's an area there of over 300 hectares of farmland, which offers huge potential biodiversity to involve circularity. I won't go any further on that because your next speaker is going to talk about one of these methodologies that's involved in circularity. I'm mindful that this is a discussion group, not about preaching to young minds. So I think I'll rest my case there. We're working towards developing green funds, predominantly investment from overseas, focused initially on 3 areas in the next decade in Bali, with a focus of working closely with the community. So thank you for your attention. I'll go back to the moderator now, who can put us back possibly to the next speaker. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much, Professor Melbourne, for that insightful and inspiring presentation. So we will hold questions until the discussions and Q&A session later. And now let us move on to our second session, which is Mr. Andrew, an ecological designer, inventor, and sustainability practitioner with over 4 years of experience in sustainable home, garden, and compost system design. He is the founder of Compost Central and the inventor and co-founder of Subpot, globally recognized in-ground composting system addressing food waste through nature-inspired design. Over the past 3 years in Palembang, Sumatra, he has successfully developed Gardenship, a scalable public space solution, now positioned for global application flagship for a showcase in Bali. And with a strong personal connection to Indonesia, Mr. Andrew brings deep expertise, networks, and a collaborative approach to advancing sustainable and circular solution. So, Mr. Andrew, the time is yours.
Thank you. It's an honor to be a part of the group. I just want to say what Alex has just shared with you is really spot on. The issues that he brought up are all so needed to sustain Bali for the future. From my part, personally, my father was born and brought up in Java, so I was very much brought up in an Indonesian culture. So I feel very proud and a great sense of attachment to Indonesia. As we know, in regards to organic waste, which is accelerating as the commercial development occurring here in Bali, landfills, as we know, close. The largest one closes tomorrow. And it brings a lot of heartache to me personally to see that the Indonesian government is not resolving this. Now, in my journey here with guardianship, it was so important for me to make the composting facility, which is the guardianship, which functions at about 75% food waste with about 25% carbon coming in to accelerate the food waste. Now, to my honor and privilege, over the last 4 years, through an Indonesian gentleman who has procured or created an enzyme strain, which I have been working with in South Sumatra for the last 3 years. This relationship with this particular strain of enzyme in the composting process, which is where you have microbes and compost worms, and then being very mindful that the guardianship's working like a lung, these challenges were very evident, and the outcomes were, to my delight, amazing. So in this process of using these 3 entities, enzymes, microbes, and worms, and creating this environment, now I can compost meat, fish, and crustaceans. That outcome, and for me as a designer and educator in this space, was trying to create with these 3 elements and successful to make sure that the guardianship can be placed in public spaces where there is no smells, rodents, rats, cockroaches, and that the guardianship could be placed inside a university or any government or private institution. It's really important for me that the guardianship has access to community, so the community can come to the guardianship, and there'll be talks and workshops and seminars to encourage Balinese homeowners and village heads to look at how they can build small in-house composting facility. So this composting facility is called a probiotic, digestive, in-ground food waste facility. So that is the embodiment of the guardianship. As an educator and dealing with Indonesia, and I've traveled extensively all over Indonesia to all the landfill sites, including Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and so forth. Over my time spent in research, I'm finding out that there is this huge disconnect in trying to inform, educate about the organic waste stream, looking at solutions. And so the guardianship is embedded with 4 areas that I focus on to make the guardianship an education facility. The first one is that the guardianship will be very proactive for government to come and visit, because they love opportunities, and because this facility doesn't smell, and we're composting food waste, and it's a very feel-good factor for governments. We know what they're like. Second, it's appealing to industry. Wherever the flagship will be built, this is what we're talking about, building this flagship in a location in Bali that it becomes a resource for industry and government to come. So let's regroup. One, it's designed to embellish government, educate, industry. So we would have resort owners, developers, urban developers, universities, folk coming in. So we're looking at government, industry, And the next one is that it had to be social media friendly, because there is no greenwashing here. This is 100% powered by organics. This is really important. And the fourth component is community access and information. This, to me, is paramount. So, okay, now we're looking at the garden ship here on the image, and this is the flagship that we're talking about. There are 2 modules, it's another view, 2 modules and a storage facility. Now, these modules could be either 1 module to suit 2 modules to suit a greater population, 3 modules to suit even a larger population. But these are images of the garden ship flagship. And what it's doing is doubling up as an education facility. Now, so what we're going to do here as we navigate through this, can we go back to the last image? The last image. Okay, let's sit on this for a moment. What I've done is taken the roof away and all the sides of the structure away. And we're now looking down at these 2 parallel beds that are taking in all the food waste, including meat, fish, and crustaceans. You can see there's a tree there, and there is a seating configuration in a C shape with a table in it. Now, just remember, this facility has no smells, and it's because of the enzymes and the way the garden ship functions like a giant lung. So it's very appealing on those multiple areas those 4 areas that I mentioned. This space, this flagship, which will be the go-to venue around Bali, and wherever this flagship is going to be built here in Bali, it will be exposed to national and international media, because this has not been done before. And yes, the structure can be built out of bamboo, can be built out of different materials, and it's scalable and it's adaptable to suit clients' needs. So again, we're looking at this facility, which is doubling up as a classroom, and this is paramount. The big continual conversation is education. And to make sure that something like the garden ship is a proactive green to the extreme. And the fact that it's a safe, healthy environment for collectively everyone across the board to learn and visit. Now, the flagship, if we can just go back to the image on the ground view. As I said, this is a living laboratory. It's a living classroom. We will have sensors in the composting areas that, using an app, you can determine the volume of food going in. Now, the flagship, which is what we see here, will take 3 cubic meters of food waste every week. And of course, we're also introducing carbon, as I mentioned before, at 25%. Carbon like leaf, cow poo, coconut husks, or shredded coconut. So this is now a very, very exciting environment to be in. So for me, those areas of education, investments, resorts, communities, villages can now look at where that composting process is occurring. And we talked about the 2 cubic meters in the case of the flagship 3. It will also produce the equivalent of output each week of organic humus soil and liquid fertilizer. So we're putting in food waste, and what we're coming out is we're getting organic, nutrient-rich, the highest nutrient-rich soil you can get is coming out of this. And again, I cannot stress that this is an education facility. It is doubling up. Look, I'll leave it here because this is such a huge area. I'm more interested in questions that will surface out of this. And please, as I say to students and universities around the world, every question is the best question. So please feel free to reach out. I'd like to say a big thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew. So while Professor Alexander emphasized the strategic and organizational dimension of sustainability, Mr. Andrew demonstrates how circular principles can be translated into practical community level solutions. So thank you so much, Mr. Andrew. So let us proceed to our third speaker, which is Mr. Igede Martawiguna, a technology and sustainability professional with a strong background in digital system, waste management, and community-based innovation. He holds a Master's of Science in Interdisciplinary Business Studies from the George Washington University and a bachelor's degree in Information System from University of Dinamika Surabaya. And Mr. Wiguna is the co-founder and director of IT at Gemaloka Digital, where he developed a digital waste bank platform supporting more than 700 active waste bank units across Indonesia, and significantly increasing recycling participation and reducing environmental pollution. So with experience spanning software development, system implementation, and team leadership, he brings a practical perspective on how technology can enable circular economy models and empower local communities. So Mr. Gede, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for the host. Wonderful presentation from Mr. Alexander and Mr. Andrew. So now in Bali, as we discussed before, we face not only organic waste, but also we have also non-organic waste. In this situation, we local community in Bali, particularly in Gianyar, we try to adapt with another approach, another solution, which is commonly known as bank sampah or waste bank. In this way, waste bank is operated mainly by community base. We call it in Banjar or Desa Adat in Bali. It's very commonly known. People gathering together, and then they work together with a collector. They gather their waste together and then to be sent and separated by a team to their collector. However, the process of this this waste bank is usually done by manual process. So in 2020 during COVID period, we try to resolve something that we can make this faster, make this faster. So Grialuhu was founded in 2017, and then in 2020 we start doing our digitalization. So we address 4 main problem of manual waste bank, which is the first 2 problem was time. First, it takes time to doing regular operational, and then the second problem, it takes extra time to just for the reporting all we done before, few hours before. It's really exhausting for the community, and then they also has the risk of losing data due to the decentralization. Let's say I have a book and then my customer have their own record book. Sometimes my book is okay, but the book that hold by the customer is sometimes lost. They cannot show it the book every time they come to the community. Sometimes they lost the book. We have people in the waste bank center have to provide new book, and then that process repeating itself. So we address those problems by centralizing data to digital. So there's no more people losing their book because their data are already on their phone. We will get to that later. And then we also address the fourth problem. We want to make this data transparent. So we call it real-time data. Now let's say we do operational today, and in time before the operational end, we can see how the situation, how is the data currently, which customer have how much deposit and something like that. We move to the next with the slide. This is our solution for the problem. The solution is in form of an app that runs in Android device. So previously there are many solution as well. However, those solution was run in a computer base only. There's no operational in mobile apps. So with the current technology, smartphone in everybody's hand, which means everybody at least holding a small, let's say, small computer, small device. We use those smart device. We utilize those smart device to faster the operation of waste bank. So move to the next slide, please. So in this operational, there are three key endpoints in operational. The first is for the customer, and then was the waste bank unit, and the third is for the waste bank management. For the customer, this is the replacement of their saving book. Let's say you going to bank, you have your book, you can see your balance and everything in there. In this digital waste bank, we replace that in form of an app. For waste bank unit, usually they operate using computer. It's very inconvenient, especially dealing with so many materials in an operational. So replace those in form of mobile app as well. And then for bank management, we created dashboard as well for the waste bank, central waste bank, just in case they want to expand their operational, they want to open a new unit, and then maintaining the data, and also collecting report. Next slide, please. So this is our situation now in Gianyar, Bali. We are already in 35 villages in Gianyar. We have 153 waste bank, and then 200 plus community base. Of course, this number is fluctuate. Sometimes is rising and then dropping again. So I show you the average number here. Waste bank sometimes is not sustained. They can start their operation, and then sometimes they will stop operating for long period of time. There was a time that where our three unit of waste bank was closed during COVID area for 1 year, and then they back again after 1 year after the app was introduced. So the benefit we gave to Gianyar community is the seamless reporting, and we also provide data driven information, data driven waste management planning for government to make decision. So we work closely with say DLH, Dinas Lingkungan Hidup in Gianyar. They visited us regularly. They also support us in Gianyar, and not only in Gianyar. Sometimes KLHK from Denpasar also came to us in discussing issue, and brought many their visitor. They came to us to study our operational. Next slide, please. Nah, not only in Bali, in 2022 we also help P3E Kalimantan to introduce the digitalization in East Kalimantan. Here we came to Penajam Pasar Utara, which known the area for in Ibu Kota Nasional today, and then Samarinda and also Balikpapan. We were there for 1 week to introduce this technology to local community. In this city, there are at least 5 to 10 West Bank unit that join our training back then. The project is still run until today. We still maintain communication together. And the next slide, this is our recent project in city of Padang, West Sumatra. In total, this project we do we did this as pilot project. Started with 13 waste bank across the Padang city. We work together with I guess international global environmental strategies and University of Andalas. We work together. We train the user there to use our app to make their operational in West Bank faster. And next slide, please. So in order to use this digital technology, there are 6 steps that West Bank will need to do. First, we'll do introduction, and then we'll do MOU, and then prepare for migration from paper-based, and we will do office training, then field training, and then after that they're ready to operate with their West Bank using our apps. The next step, I will show you the brief video for our app. Can you please click can it show? It should be playing video. No, it is video. Is this PDF? Oh, it's the PDF. It's PDF. It's okay. This is supposed to be a video. So I think that's conclude my presentation for today's session. I will leave the question for the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gede Wiguna, for sharing your presentation on how actually for highlighting the importance of technology for waste system. So we already sum up all of the discussion, all of the presentation today, and we will now move into the discussion and Q&A sessions. And participants may submit their questions through the chat or Q&A feature. Please mention which speaker your question is directed to, and to start the discussion, maybe anyone wants to ask a question? Maybe I want to ask a question actually to Mr. Andrew. Maybe for first is I want to ask to Mr. Andrew, based on your experience, what is the most important mindset shift communities or institutions need to adopt when viewing waste as a resource? Because it's quite unique actually.
Okay. I look, the biggest challenge here is to inform and educate. And the flagship is a destination of learning on multiple levels. So if there is an environment where people can see, feel, touch, and have the waste plant Indonesia will be a large database collaborating with other organizations. This is really, really important. So the Gardenship or waste plant, the company, the Gardenship's product, for me, education woven right through this on multiple levels. And again, being able to see and feel and learn, and from that, right across the board, from government through to community, this is paramount for Bali in Indonesia. We are really at a crisis point at this point in time, and to have facilities that are interactive in education, collective education, to me, this is
This is the challenge, and this is part of the big solution. And if that
All right.
answers your question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew. And we have Mr. Jericho Randy Glenn wants to ask a question.
Hi, yes. Thank you so much for the opportunity to ask the questions. I would like to asking to Mr. Alexander actually, where my property. I was working in a hospitality industry at the moment, and recently we are just done the completions of GSTC, the Global Sustainability Tourism Councils, with Mr. Alasdair. And then there's some questions comes up when the government's regulations, it seems not in the line yet, if I could say it, with the program that been delivered by the certification. So there's so many certifications like the ISO, which is not also we as a hospitality industry, where we're working in that kind of platform, we are still thinking about what is the sustained regulation that fit and solid for us to follow as the guidelines, and then as the recommendations by the government. That's number one. And then the second question is to Mr. Andrew, where the waste management is also important for us in this industry. I was asking if the waste oil, okay, the waste oil, like we are producing the cooking oil every day, the waste oil of the generators and then etc. from the operational wise perspective. So is there any kind of systems or any kind of procedures that we have to follow in terms of so it's not only a food waste, it's not only the operational waste, but what about the oil waste that we can do further to the environment? The third question is for Mr. Wiguna. I'm interested about these platforms, about these apps. Perhaps I can get some more detail in this, so I can maybe apply into my property in the hotel. So yeah, I think I was looking forward to working on this. Yeah, thank you so much.
Well done.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jericho. All right, maybe for the first question for Mr. Alexander.
Okay, I have a question for you. Could I ask you which regency and area that your hotel or operation is located? Where are you located? And there's a reason I asked this question.
Sorry, your voice a bit breaking up.
Okay. The question is, where is your resort or hotel located? Your hospitality operation, which regency and which area are you in? There's a reason for that question.
Okay. My previous property is with Pan Pacific Hotel in Jakarta.
Okay.
Where we just got the certifications end of November, and start on 15th of December. I just recently moved to Sofitel Bali in Nusa Dua.
In Nusa Dua, okay.
Yeah. So
okay. Well, you're in a unique part of Bali because Nusa Dua is part of ITDC. And if you're in the ITDC zone, they have their own set of regulations regarding waste management. They actually run the waste management in the ITDC complex there in Nusa Dua. If you're outside of the complex, you come under Badung. And if you're under Badung, they have their own regulations, some of which are changing. But effectively in Badung, the governor has passed a decree saying that all the hotels have to recycle their own waste. They cannot no further send their waste to landfill or to community waste recycle centers. So technically, the regulations say your hotel or your resort has to deal with its own waste. The problem is there is no standard model as to how you do that. And a lot of the hotels and resorts that have been built do not have facilities to recycle or even know how to recycle, especially their organic waste. So at the moment, there are various collection agents which are collecting the waste and taking that waste to unlicensed sites. And at the moment, everybody is looking the other way and nobody is pointing fingers. But the reality is, the sites they're taking the waste to do not have a license to process that waste. Most of them are in village areas or in farm areas, and they do not have licenses for this. So technically, they are operating illegal collection services. Now, the government is going to crack down on this. Yesterday, accompanied with Andrew, we actually went to a community. We actually went to a site in a community area, and we talked to some people from the village, and they said, well, they were waiting to go and have a look at facilities somewhere of equipment in Jakarta, in Java, that were being used there to process. But they had land, and the village had an instruction to deal with the waste, but they had no license because there's no clear directive how you get a license and what you have to satisfy to get that license. So at the moment, a decision's been made at an island level, and there is not an infrastructure in place yet to give clear direction to the villages as to how to treat their waste. So it's not only a hotel or resort problem, it's an island problem, because in different regencies, different bupatis and their officers have different interpretation on the regulations. So if you have land in Badung, quite likely the interpretation of dealing with that waste is different to Buleleng, different to Tabanan, different to Klung Klung, different to Gianyar. There does not appear to be a consistent model for hotels or resorts or actually even communities managing their waste, particularly the organic waste. And there's a vacuum there. So there is not one guideline you can go to and say, we have to have this amount of land, we have to deal with it in this way, and we have to use this technology. So at the moment, it's a complete open area, gray area, if you wish, in Bali. The government has passed the challenge to the hotels to deal with their waste, but the hotels actually don't have a system that's approved by the Hotel Association or even endorsed by the Hotel Association how to deal with their organic waste. So at the moment, you've got many local activities taking place, none of which have licenses, and even the transport of that waste has to have licenses. And most of the vehicles I see running around are not owned by the local government, so they're actually not operating under a local government license. So Bali is a total mess as far as regulations are concerned and recycling is concerned. So over time, these will evolve, but the decision to put back the responsibility to the villages and the hotels was made in the middle of the year, but there doesn't appear to have been a follow-through process to provide regulations to tell them exactly what they have to do, nor any resource to actually help them do it. So it doesn't answer your question, but the answer to the question is there is not yet any guidelines in place that any local planning office can refer to that tells you how you shall develop, plan, or even build your waste management facility, especially if you're in a resort area that's under its own planning requirements, such as Nusa Dua. Nusa Dua has a very established set of planning requirements, but there's nothing in there about waste management. And to have land recycling waste, you have to have a waste management license, which is not easy to get.
Yes, true. That's very true.
So that's the first question. It doesn't really currently have an answer, unfortunately, and this is a big problem for Bali.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Alexander, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Maybe for the next question to Mr. Andrew.
Okay, these are great questions, and you're spot on. One of the challenges with cooking oil in hospitality, I dare say a lot of this oil in Indonesia, cooking oil or similar, is actually just dumped. Now, in Australia, the oil from cooking oil right across the board are now collected by a particular organization that turns the cooking oil into a bio oil to fuel diesel engines. It's interesting. That happens, and that is mandatory in Australia. For me, when I'm dealing with enzymes in this environment, I'm constantly experimenting with waste plants, garden chips, ability to compost a whole multitude of organics, including cat feces, pig feces, etc. But I'm at this point in time unable, and I stress this, have explored neutralizing, pacifying cooking oil. And that's pretty straight up. But there is ample information around Europe, America, Australia, where cooking oil is collected and turned into a biofuel to feed diesel engines, even motor cars, vehicles. I'll just leave it there. But these are great questions.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew. So for the next is to Mr. Gede.
Okay, Mr. Jericho, thank you for the question. Thank you for your interest with our program. We currently operate in Gianyar, and our operation is community-based. But in the recent year, 2023, 2024, this recent past year, we try to expand our operational to create 4 new programs for non community based. 2 of them we call it Jagoan program and Jawara program. This Jagoan program we work together with businesses such as hotel and restaurant. We talk about their problem. What is your problem with your waste, and then we provide the solution how they can manage with our specialty or our team. So in order to discuss that more, I think Mr. Jericho, we should talk we should talk more outside of this discussion. So in summary, I would say to the public, we have a special program to serve to address our problem in business the waste problem to the business and to the community. We call it Jagoan and Jawara. For more, I will drop the link of the program into the chat box. There's more information in there. Hopefully, we can discuss it further after this session concluded.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Pa Wiguna. That will be very great to have it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wiguna. And Mr. Wiguna also attached some links that we can check about the Gria Luhu programs. So thank you so much, Mr. Jericho, for the questions. And maybe other participants want to ask question? All right. Okay, no questions again. All right.
Could I ask a question?
Sure, Mr. Alex.
Okay. A question to Adrian. With his excellent program, his biocomposting flagship program, he also showed me yesterday his vision for smaller versions. At the moment, we've looked at the big picture, this is the flagship program, and we're looking at a fairly large building. But he also shared yesterday some smaller versions for the volume is not as big, so that this can be scaled up or it can be scaled down. The flagship model, he's talking of so many ton a week, but actually it can also be scaled up to a larger volume or scaled down to a smaller volume. Perhaps he'd like to share that as his insight, because in the case of Bali, for example, Pemutaran, the daily waste of food there, or fruit and food, will be around 10 to 12 ton a day, minimum, maybe 15 ton a day. In the case of where we went to yesterday, which was in Gianyar, which is in a community, maybe 5 ton a week is a big ask for that immediate community. But there are also communities that are smaller than that maybe 2 ton a week is, organically speaking, because this has to be collected safely in a sustainable way. So perhaps he'd like to just share a bit of his vision about scaling up from 2 ton to 5 ton to 10 ton to 15 ton a week, because this is the different demand that you have across Bali. So if you're dealing with a rural community, the scalability is going to be important for the community leaders to understand, does this fit their community needs?
Okay. This is, again, a great question. So within these modules that I was showing Alex and talking about these modules, module 1 is 2 cubic meters of food waste. Module 2 has 2 modules, so then you're looking at 4 cubic meters and so forth. So scaling up for me in the gardenship, as I stated, 2 cubic meters for each module. Now, what I was sharing yesterday were quarter versions, quarter to 40% scale, and they can take up to 800 to 1 cubic meter or 1 ton or 1 cubic meter of food waste, or just short of. So there's lots of variations that can be adapted to suit the community or the client's needs. And of course, these structures can be built with supervision by me and my team, can be built in villages, and in turn, those villages can assist or become the builders of the smaller versions in other villages that go on. So yeah, it is scalable depending on the client's needs. But when if I may just add here, just going back to the resort folk, what the guardianship in dealing with resorts or hotels in the area of environmental sustainable governance, ESG, this is a big accreditation for commercial industry to be proactive in ESG, dealing with the waste stream in that. And I'll leave it there. But just going back to what Alex was saying, yes, it is scalable and it can suit the need, and the aesthetic form function is optional, again, suiting the need or the availability of materials in different parts in Indonesia. I'll leave it at that. Alex, does that answer your question? Sorry.
Yeah, and also, if I can add about waste cooking oil, just about every warung, certainly every hotel, every resort in Bali has huge quantities of waste cooking oil. And one of the biggest problems they have with the water supply is they have a habit, they have grease traps in the kitchen, but they don't maintain them. So this cooking oil is going straight into the groundwater. It's going straight under the water, under the island of Bali, and eventually it's going to come back and bite them. So over in Europe, they collect the waste kitchen oil. It's a huge business, and they recycle it and they use it for biodiesel, which is fantastic for. But they also can run diesel vehicles on farms.
Yeah.
And you find that most of the agricultural equipment, tractors, diggers, things like that, run on diesel. So here in Bali, if a cooperative decided to set up a recycling center for used cooking oil, they could supply the farming community and they could do an exceptionally good job. The problem you've got with that is that because under the law, only Pertamina can sell fuel, you have one government-owned, operated supply chain that would not want that to happen. So that's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's to answer the question is why can they not recycle all the cooking oil? Of course they can. But it would have to be done in partnership with one of the divisions of Pertamina specifically focused on agriculture for the use in agriculture, because I don't think they would allow the gravy train of these big trucks running along the Bali roads that Pertamina makes a huge profit out of diesel to run. But it could be done for agribusiness as a form of subsidy. So if a farm community decided to do that as a joint venture with Pertamina, you could collect all, and you're talking of millions of gallons. The amount of cooking oil in Bali is millions of gallons, which at the moment is being basically poured away and wasted. That cooking oil also is excellent to make into feed for animals. It can be made and combined with different grain crops into an agri product that is very good for animals, such as goats, such as cows, to add nutrition to the livestock. So it's a fantastic. In New Zealand, where I've had experience with it, it's a big business for the cow business, for the cow beef business. They feed a lot of animal stock used on recycled oil from cooking, which is made into like a cake that they feed the animals. It bulks up the animals because it's got a lot of calories in it. So it's a huge business. It could be done very well here in Bali if a company, a farming community group had that initiative and was given some government support, because you would have to have the cooperation of Pertamina. But it would solve the waste oil problem overnight. So there's lots of solutions if people are prepared to look for the solutions. The problem we have in Bali isn't the resource, this huge resource. It is the will to look for the solutions. What you presented today and what I've talked about today are just some of those solutions. But it's a slow process of evolution. Countries like Australia and New Zealand that have had 200 years of farming expertise, they use every resource they have, including the sun, for energy, because they've got this track record and they've got a research division in Australia that does research on feeding of animals, and New Zealand. So if they encouraged the New Zealand government to support them, they could probably set up a recycling center here for waste products from the hotels, and that would work very well. So back to Viola.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander and Mr. Andrew. That's a very interesting discussion about the waste, and to make one thing clear, waste is not a future problem, but it's present reality, and real solutions require us to face how waste is generated, managed, and valued. And also, the most important thing is actually to face the reality as well. So yeah, as we come to the end of today's discussion, and I would like to sincerely thank to our speakers for their valuable insight and contribution. And today's discussion clearly shows us that sustainability, circularity, and community empowerment are not optional. They are essential for the future of agribusiness. And I would like to thank Sekolah Bisnis Runata and all participants who have joined us today. And before we begin before we end the session, may I kindly invite all the speakers and participants to turn on their cameras. So we're gonna take a picture.
I think I've got mine already.
There. All right, we have 3 participants here, so we're gonna separate it to 4 screenshot. Maybe operator can please help for the screenshot. Okay, smile everyone. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. The last one. All right. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for sessions. Hopefully, today's session will inspire meaningful action, collaboration, and innovation moving forward. And thank you. Stay safe and have a wonderful day.
Kak Viola, sorry, izin. Can I get the contact number or company profile of Mr. Andrew? I would like to get some more detail in that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Our team will send you later, Mr. Jericho.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good day.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice weekend.
Very much
Thank
appreciated.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Have a nice weekend,
Been an
everyone.
honor.
Bye-bye, Mister. Bye-bye, Miss.
Thank you.
You,
Bye-bye.
Mr.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Alexander.
Thank you all.
Thank you.